What's up, YouTube? It's James coming back at you with another informative video. I hope you guys are doing well out there on this Sunday night. I'm doing pretty good myself, and I hope you guys had a very nice, relaxing weekend. Mine went well, just went too fast as usual, okay? Now, over the weekend, I think it was basically Friday night, something strange happened at Nancy Pelosi's house. As a matter of fact, it says here, unexpected, what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband, okay? Some of you may already heard, that some man broke into the Pelosi's house and slapped the husband upside the head with a hammer for whatever reasons, okay? Now, what I want to do is actually get into this particular article right here. Then after reading this article, we're going to go over to Fox News because the people over there seem to think something doesn't sound quite right about this entire situation, okay? Now, to get into this article here, let me get rid of this first. Nancy Pelosi's husband was the victim of an attack that occurred in their San Francisco home. As of the time of writing, the suspect has not given a motive for the attack, okay? And here is Mr. Pelosi right here, okay? Paul Pelosi at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., U.S., December 4th, 2021, okay? And this has right here, what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband. On October 28, 2022, someone broke into the Pelosi's family San Francisco home and confronted Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, before severely beating him with a hammer. Paul Pelosi was admitted to Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital for his injuries. Authorities say David Pepe is expected to face several charges, including attempted homicide and assault with a deadly weapon as early as October 31st, 2022, with an arraignment expected on November 1st, 2022. Okay? So, the suspect accused of the attack has been identified as David Pepe. David, 42, is currently a resident of Berkeley, California. According to CNN, he reportedly grew up in Canada before leaving 20 years ago to pursue a relationship that brought him to California. An acquaintance of the Pepes told the outlet that he seemed out of touch with reality and often posted memes and conspiracy theories on Facebook about COVID vaccines, 2020 elections, and the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. Okay? And, wow, this dude is one of them guys they claim like he just out there in the stratosphere of his mind, if you understand what I'm saying. Crazy. Now, to continue here, it says, furthermore, Brooke Jenkins, district attorney for San Francisco, said the suspect had given a statement to the San Francisco Police Department. What did Nancy Pelosi say about the attack here? It's what they're asking. Question. A day after the attack, Nancy Pelosi broke her silence, expressing her displeasure in a press release issued on October 29, 2022, saying, yesterday morning, a violent man broke into our family home, demanded to confront me, and brutally attacked my husband, Paul. Our children, our grandchildren, and I are heartbroken and traumatized by the life-threatening attack on our pop. We are grateful for the quick response of law enforcement and emergency services and the life-saving medical care he is receiving. She continued, please know that the outpouring of prayers and warm wishes from so many in Congress is a comfort to our family and is helping Paul make progress with his recovery. His condition continues to improve, okay? So I guess that's a good thing, He's 82 years old and getting hit, knocked in the head with a hammer. That's no good for nobody, regardless of what age they are, man. You know what I'm saying? And they said that this guy actually cracked this man's cranium, okay? Now to continue here, it says, we are also comforted by the words of the book of Isaiah. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. She concluded, we thank you and pray for the continued safety and well-being of your family. Okay. Now, here is the crazy motherfucker right here. For whatever reason, there's all kinds of stories that's floating around out here. With this dude right here, suspect David Pepe, is shown in Berkeley, California on December 2013. Years ago. This is a picture, I guess, they got from back then that they posted. But there's all kinds of stories floating around, like he actually broke into these people's house to confront them about child sex rings. Okay, like, the Pelosis are involved with child sex trafficking and sex rings and all that kind of stuff, and it's also said, his stepdaughter said, this man's stepdaughter has said that he was abused himself. Okay, and so I guess that's why he's kind of like, they write him off as being somewhat like mentally ill. Okay, now it says here, who is Paul Pelosi? Okay, Paul Francis Pelosi was born on April 15, 1940. He owns and operates Financial Leasing Services, Inc., which is in San Francisco-based real estate and consulting firm. The 82-year-old was born in San Francisco, California, and sits on many philanthropic and corporate boards. He holds a Bachelor's of Science from Georgetown University and has studied at Harvard Business School. Okay, so this man has an impressive resume. He's 82 years old. I would guess, with all the privilege and whatever else, that he has given to him, he would have, been successful. Let's just say that. But now, we're finna go over here to Fox News and see what they have to say about this situation right here.
Okay, so I think the good news here is, as Christina mentioned in her report, Paul Pelosi is going to make a recovery, and that is good news. Everybody can agree upon that. Throughout the day, we've all been tracking this story, and it seems like hour by hour there is new information coming out, a lot of it very confusing. Lara, I want to go to you quickly first. In Christina's report, she mentioned that this suspect has ties to writing about QAnon and COVID conspiracies, but when he lived in Berkeley, he also has ties to an address there that had slogans of a completely different kind.
Well, that's right, and I think anyone trying to connect this guy in any way to a political party, to any other person, you can't do that. We don't have a motive from police yet. We have very little information. So many questions at this point. I think the only thing we do know is that this guy was obviously very troubled, mentally unstable in some way, as we heard from his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend. And that's really all we know. But you're right, Anita. People are trying to cherry pick these certain things that he posted online and say, well, this connects him to somehow Republicans or conservatives. He lived in a house that apparently had slogans that a lot of people would associate with the Democrat Party or with liberals in some way. So you cannot at any point so far connect this guy in any way to a political party, and I think it's very reckless to do so.
Right, I think you're talking about Black Lives Matter slogans, LGBT pride, right, those sorts of things. So again, you can't put this guy in a box at this point. Back to the facts of the case. Again, drip, drip, drip has been coming out all day, providing more questions than answers. David, I want to go to you on this. Consider that this is one of the richest, most powerful couples on the planet. Right. Okay, and so where was the security alarm? Where was any security in place? I want to go show you something from the LA Times right now, talking about how the rear door. That's how the assailant got in. He got in through a rear door. Sorry, I can't see that quote at the moment here. Here we go. It's up now. The quote says, when police arrived and knocked on the front door, Scott said someone inside opened the door. The officers saw Paul Pelosi and DePepe, each with one hand on a single hammer. He said Scott confirmed that DePepe had forced entry into a rear door of the Pelosi home. And this Scott we're referring to is the San Francisco police chief. Right. So the suspect accessed the rear door of the house. And there's no security. Where are the cameras? And also, what about the broken glass? What was that about? And when police came to the door, someone else opened the door. Who opened the door? So, what are you hearing?
You know what? Look for what's missing and what doesn't add up. Remember when we were taught who, what, why, when, where, and how? And then when you've eliminated all that is possible, whatever remains, however improbable, that might be the truth. If we did a wide shot on the house, there are high resolution cameras on every corner of that house. That's easy to see. The glass appears to be broken outward. That's another question that needs to be answered. Police officers typically have their body cameras on, especially when entering a house like this. Where's the body cam video? Where's the security video? What type of security system? Who opened the door is someone that investigators need to talk to. And for the San Francisco Police Department and now the Capitol Hill Police and others that are involved at the federal level, these are answers that demand these are things that demand transparency in the reporting, because again, an assault on potentially on a member of Congress's property, on her husband, and all of this, it doesn't add up. And to Lara's point, trying to assign this to one or the other, anyone who does that is not a journalist or a good pundit.
Yeah, I think the point here is that there are so many questions. Show
me the video.
Right.
Show me the audio. By the way, can I just throw this in there? The audio where it's where's Nancy? If there was a body cam when the police came in, that audio would exist.
Yeah, good point. Okay. Despite all these questions, the White House is really rushing to try to connect all of this to January 6th. Let's listen to the spokesperson.
The thing that is probably the most haunting about when we hear the reports of this assailant, of the attacker that we were speaking of, is that he was yelling out the things that we heard during January 6th, which is, where is Nancy? And, you know, again, we need to end this type of rhetoric. It needs to stop. And it is incredibly, incredibly dangerous.
Okay, and building upon that, the news source Axios had this to say. They put up this quote saying, a source briefed on the investigation tells me Paul Pelosi's attacker had a bag containing zip ties in a disturbing echo of January 6th. Why it matters, the presence of zip ties, it says, which can be used to immobilize a victim, add to the menacing circumstances surrounding the home invasion. So, Laura, let me go back to you here on this. Why is there this rush to tie this to January 6th, do you think?
Oh, because January 6th and abortion are the only two things that the Democrats are running on in the midterm elections. And so there are folks out there in the mainstream media desperate to try and help them. Instead of actually waiting for facts to come out, they are rushing in. And by the way, I think it is disgusting and shameful. Joey, you said this yesterday on the show. For anyone to try and use this for a political motive in any way, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to harken back to January 6th. There is nothing to tie any of this to January 6th. The fact that potentially this guy was screaming, where's Nancy? That has nothing to do with anything. That soundbite you just heard from the press secretary there was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, Joey, what do you think? Do you think this is a rush to judgment from the White House?
I think the White House is doing what the White House does. Listen, I'll take a little bit of solace in the fact that the person who would have me believe gas prices were cheaper now than they were at the height of them, or whatever the lie was yesterday about gas prices being at $5 when Biden took office when they were $2.30. The person who would lie to my face and tell me that, she can say whatever she wants to. I'm not going to believe her. The American people don't believe her. Look no further than the polls of the local races, the Senate races and governor races around the country, to see where Americans are on this White House's ability to sow you a lie. Now, if we go back to this specific incident, listen, I have a lot more questions than answers. I'll believe the law enforcement officers that respond to it. I'm not going to believe political operatives spinning a narrative just because they work for a three-letter news agency and have journalists in front of their names. So I think people should just calm down and see what the facts are. I wish everyone that got their home broken into and was nearly beaten to death got this kind of news coverage. That would be great. I understand there's some certain political motivations that may be at play. I get that. But I bet there are a lot of people in San Francisco who wish their personal rights and right to stay alive were as concerned by the cabal in charge as this human being. And I'll tell you this, if I if you break into my home and try to kill me, I will kill you first, because I live in a state that allows for me to protect myself. And anyone out there should try to educate and arm themselves the same way. We can't put up with people that act this way.
And can I just say this really quickly? I think the only things that were really highlighted here so far is the mental health crisis that exists in America and the crime crisis that obviously exists in America that has gone totally unchecked and that people are very concerned about. Those are the only takeaways we have so far.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
Well, now, the people over at Fox News seem to think something's going on. You know what I mean? A little bit of conspiracies going on around here with this lone hammer man. Broke in this man's house, you know what I mean, and allegedly slapped him in the head with a hammer. That's just crazy, you know what I'm saying? And you gotta wonder why, you know, if it's got something to do with mental illness, as they always write things off as being, regardless of what happened at scene, especially with the white folks' persuasion. Let's just say it like that. Why did he choose the Pelosi's house to do this to? You know what I mean? That's if this entire incident happened at all. You gotta wonder. You know what I mean? It's all smoke and mirrors with these people for whatever reason. But I want you guys to tell me what you think about this particular situation. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts, views, and opinions on it. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And people, please remember to live your life as though we are being watched, simply because we are. This is James, and I'm out. Peace.